played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here we are again at Kansas Speedway for the final version of the racing and the night configuration. Live from the virtual Kansas Speedway. It's the Kansas Track Champions Series presented by VRX, MTR, Superior Performance, and Admin Box. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside in the booth tonight, Logan Threlkel, co-commentary. Logan, you haven't seen the racing here as of yet. You've seen races at Kansas, and you've seen these car combinations, but to be track champion, you have to master all 9 of them, all 9 weeks, and it's coming down to just 2 more races with 2 points separating the leaders.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, you know. Like you said, obviously I haven't seen much of the racing here, but Morgan Cook, Dakota Floyd obviously putting on quite the show. Brian Henning's not far behind at all, so it's top 3 right there, all really close, and it's crunch time for these last 2 races. We'll see who can come out on top here tonight and, you know, maybe set up for next week.
Sitting in 3rd place there, Brian Hennings will not be here for tonight's event, so that'll put him a little bit deeper in the points. However, we do have to shout out Brian Hennings. I hope you're safe. I know that you were vacationing in Florida at the worst ever time, probably this year, to be there. And I hope that you made it home safely. But we're sitting here for warm-ups. Let's take a quick look at our race analysis. 70 laps, as always. 2 green-white checkers, 2 tire sets available, 50% fuel. And as always, the iRacing fixed setup here in this scenario. The track temperature. Well, it's going to be a calm and cool night. Shouldn't see too much fluctuation here on the track temp. It might go up or down a couple degrees here or there, depending on how late we get into the night and how many cautions we have. This track could drop down below 70 degrees, but we're going to start out here with an ambient air of 68 and track temp at 70 degrees to start the night. Quick look at Kansas Speedway, opened June 1st, 2001. It hasn't changed since last week. It probably never will. 17 degrees of banking in the turns. And, you know, Logan, you've been here on all these different configurations. You've physically driven the track a few times. What have you learned in the short time that you've been on the service?
You know, it's a very quick track. You know, it doesn't look like it would be for being a mile and a half, but it's pretty well pedal to the metal the whole time, all the way around, especially whenever you have weather configurations like this set up. It's going to be a quick race. Hopefully these drivers can keep the car straight and avoid some yellow flags out there and just put on a good show for us tonight.
So with that, we get set to take you trackside. Starting on the pole here tonight with a 30.739, it is Dakota Floyd. He's going to get another pole here and beat Morgan Cook on his streak of poles. These two, I mean, it doesn't get any closer than this. So Floyd gets the pole, he gets a bonus point. Now he's within 1 to start this race out. Morgan Cook's going to be right there next to him going into turn 1. It's going to get interesting tonight. Bill Daniels is going to start in the 3rd position with Casey Ellis in 4th, and then row number 3 has Jared Epker, Philip Brewer, and the 44 will start in 6th. 7th spot goes to Greg Pillar, John Sanu in the 8th spot, the 86 machine, and rounding out your top 10 is Benjamin Richards and Wade Palmer, the 4th.
Come up behind your top 10 in the 11th spot, we have Teresa Spiker in the 70 machine, next to the 707 of David Collins. Greg Spiker right behind her in the 13th position, next to the 022 Anthony Edrington. Renee Hasp in the 07 takes the 15th position next to PJ Cox in the 05. Behind them, Tony Richards in the 52 takes the 17th spot next to Edward Fiedler in the 18th position. Bringing up behind them, round out the top 20, Warren Cook in the 57 next to John Hudson in the 3.
That should do it here for your starting positions. I gotta ask, Logan, before we get this thing underway, in the brief amount of time that you've been filled in on information, you see how tight the points are, you've got the top 2. Who's gonna blink first here between these 2 drivers?
You know, it's really hard saying. It's so tight up there in those top 2 positions in the points. You know, it's I have a feeling we're going to see something different. I don't think it'll be Dakota Floyd or Morgan Cook taking home the win tonight. I think we're going to see somebody a little bit further in the pack.
So you can get conservative, maybe try to keep the championship hopes alive. But here for week number 8 of the 9-week season, we're in the B car, we're at Kansas, and we're live and racing in the Midwest.
Great jump right off the line, up in front of Morgan Cook, immediately back onto that bottom line going into turn 1.
Coming by to lead lap number 1, Dakota Floyd does hold on to it by a couple tenths of a second. Bill Daniels holds on to 3rd, but we're side by side for the 4th position. Casey Ellis on the high line. He's trying to get back to where he started. The 11 gets clear of him, and that's about how you have to do it. Do it early, because after about 10 laps, this track's going to migrate to the high line.
Yeah, and it's already showing signs of that within that first lap. Coming through 3 and 4 on that last camera angle, we can see most of the cars trying to run the high line and obviously dropping down underneath the white line there coming across the start finish. But it's going to be a high line dominant track here tonight, especially with the weather.
So a few drivers for the first 10 laps or so will run the low line. You saw Dakota Floyd up front there. Now he chooses to run high in 3 and 4. He's going to take that line away from Morgan Cook all over the back bumper here on the exit of 4.
Like we're looking to take some of the clean air off of the nose of the 51. Maybe getting them a little slowed up going into the corners, but he's doing the combination that I like.
Oh, he touched the apron. He made a mistake here. He slid up in front of the 51, and Morgan Cook was having none of it.
Floyd in the 24 able to keep it straight with that little bit of contact there, but still in the lead.
I mean, at that point, if you slide up in front of me after you tag the apron, I'm probably going to do the same thing. This allows Philip Brewer to the inside for the 2nd spot out of turn 2. Floyd struggling on handling. They're giving up a ton of ground here.
Yeah, they had quite the gap there to the 3rd place car, almost a half a second. And now Philip Brewer all the way up in the 1st taking that low line.
So Cook's going to have to figure out a way around Floyd if he's going to continue to make mistakes. It could check him up and make him lose time to Philip Brewer, who could run away very easily here. You see he takes the low line into 1 and 2. it seems like running out front, there's a little more bite, a little more downforce on the front of this car, and it's causing the back end to step out. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this yet with the clean air. Floyd, of course, leading the first 4 or 5 laps that we completed here, but now falls back to third. Morgan Cook going to go to work. Philip Brewer has pulled out about 3/10 ahead of him. Back here with Epker and Ellis, still going back and forth for the 5th spot. And even further back here, we've got a battle brewing just behind Benjamin Richards, Greg Pillar, and Wade Palmer. This is for the 9th spot. Palmer, actually Pillar rather, in the wall. A mistake there for the 32.
A little tag that wall in the 43, looking to the inside. He's going to get clear of him, but Pillar is going to have a better run off of the corner. Will he be able to catch back up to the side of that 43 of Palmer before entering turn 1? It does not look like he will.
Palmer had a blinking issue there briefly. And it looks like Pillar just overshooting the exits of these corners a little bit. He's having to lift on the exit, and that's a sign that you're getting back to the throttle too early. You're not letting the car roll long enough. The battle for the lead heating back up.
No, I am.
Oh, really loose. Really loose out of the corner there.
Took Morgan Cook no time at all to catch back up after he finally got around the 24 Dakota Floyd. So he's going to be looking to make a move on the 44 Philip Brewer at any given moment as soon as he makes a mistake. We'll see Morgan Cook up there in the front.
Brewer gets very tight there out of the exit of turn 2, allowed the 51 to the rear bumper, and they're going to go nose to tail. This is going to probably be the case. We've got 2 tandems of cars. You've got first and second racing each other between Philip Brewer and Morgan Cook, and then Dakota Floyd and Bill Daniels going back and forth for 3rd and 4th position. Floyd's moved his line up in 1 and 2, but looking really tight out of the exit. Daniels also having handling issues. Looks like clean air is key if you want to maintain a position. And that's kind of how this B car has been since its inception back in 2000, I believe it was 16 when this car launched, and it's been kind of the same. You just can't get around somebody if you're into the wall for Daniels.
Even the 24 Floyd caught the wall just a tad there, not nearly as much as Daniels, but Daniels able to keep the momentum, almost caught up to the side of Floyd. He's going to fall back just a little bit further. He's looking to make that move.
I was told in chat there's a bounty on this car right here. PJ Cox has an opportunity. There's a, I believe, a $1,000 bounty is what Brian Hennings raised those odds to. And a boardwalk. So I think we're playing with Monopoly money out here.
Yeah, sounds about right. I would take the railroad, but that's just me.
As far as railroads, you need all 4. I mean, boardwalk's pretty nice. High rental value on the property. I'll tell you what, high rental right now, the lead spot, that's probably the place you want to be. That's the position you want on the chessboard. As Philip Brewer continues to pull away, he's kind of picking and choosing a different line, whatever comes to him. But it looks like, again, there on the low line, gets a little wiggly loose on the exit of turn 2. And whatever ground and tires save that he's trying to pull right now, it seems like he's giving up more time doing so. They're opposite on 3 and 4. And Logan, I don't know what your opinion is, but I like to run the high line around this place all the way around.
I was a big fan of running the low line through 1 and 2 and the high line in 3 and 4. You see a couple drivers doing that, Philip Brewer being one of them. But it's hard to say. You know, you can get such a good run if you can keep the front of that car straight going down the backstretch, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, where you see Morgan Cook making up quite a bit of time there on the backstretch.
Cook holding with Philip Brewer. They have pulled away 2.5 seconds to Dakota Floyd, who's still battling with Bill Daniels. Daniels going to take the high line. Looks like a little bit of damage there on the right rear side of the 24. We're going to zoom in on that. Yeah, there's a little crinkle there that could be affecting the top end speed, especially down these straightaways where aerodynamics so important. And you got that little cushion there that you ride the wall with. If that spoiler is messed up, could interfere with the rear downforce of the code of this car. Daniels very loose out of 4. He's going to lose all that time. Thought we were going to have a battle again for 3rd, but Daniels not able to hold the back end. Morgan Cook has lost a ton of ground here in the last couple laps. He's now over half a second back from the 44.
It doesn't quite seem like the line that Cook is trying to run is really paying off for him at the moment. He really needs to start considering doing something different. Otherwise, we're just going to see that gap between the 44 and the 51 increase.
So I think a lot of it was because the 51 of Cook held behind Floyd for so long in that dirty air. He had to kind of overdrive the front end of that car to keep it planted. And now at this point, he's probably a 10th or 2 off the front running pace. Last time by, Philip Brewer really loose out of turn 2 there. He's going to give up a lot of ground. So all of that Morgan Cook lost, he gains it all back just by being consistent.
That's going to be the key here tonight. I was just about to bring that up. The consistency is going to play in favor of Morgan Cook. We've seen him time and time again just be a very consistent driver among all the leagues that he races in. So it's no doubt in my mind that he's still, no matter how slow his car could potentially be, that he has the opportunity to make up that ground with consistency.
Not a lot going on the racetrack right now. John Sanu has worked his way up to the 5th position from 8th spot, and he'll take the offense to Bill Daniels for 4th position here shortly. Fastest car on the racetrack the last time by was the 86 of John Sanu. And last week, Logan, you missed it, the 86 able to start on the pole. Had a lot of success in the first half of the race, but later on after pit stops, had a mistake on entering pit road. Kind of threw the whole race away for him.
Yeah, you'll see that every once in a while. All it takes is one completely ruin your race, no matter how small it is. And unfortunately, he did fall victim to that last week. Maybe he can turn around this week and do something special here.
Off the back of Dakota Floyd, this is 3rd through 5th position. Casey Ellis also creeping back into the picture from the 6th spot. Your top 10 is Brewer, Cook, Floyd, Daniels, Sanu, Ellis, Epker, Pillar, Richards, and Palmer. May Haas 5 seconds out of the top 10 here. The 07 losing ground. He's 15 seconds back from the lead. And 1 lap down for Anthony Edgerton.
Looks like we've got a little bit of a battle back there in the back for 15th, 16th, and 17th between the 10, the 5, and the 70. Almost 3 wide.
This is 3rd through 6th or 5th position. John Sanu took it to the inside in turn 1. Now Daniel's going to go back to the middle here out of 3 and 4. Sanu just trying to find a spot there to press on. Unfortunately, it was at the worst corner imaginable today. Oh, into the wall for the 24. Hold on to it. Dakota Floyd wiggly loose here.
Floyd's having major issues with the handling of that car right now.
While we were talking about that, Morgan Cook took over the lead. Have to go back and look at this on the replay. Find out exactly how that position changed hands. Like the 44 just got loose out of turn 2, and for Morgan Cook, he's been kind of steadily waiting on that mistake. Philip Brewer falls back to 2nd. Cook able to make quick work of it there on the backstretch. It was very tight there off the exit of 4, and here comes Cook down pit road. So he got to the lead, and now he's got a pit.
You know, on that replay, too, coming out of turn 4, you saw Cook get a little loose, but he had just enough momentum to get back up in front of the 44. Almost a little bit of contact between the two, but probably a good call by Morgan Cook right now to come down pit lane and get some fresh tires in that car.
The Dakota Floyd also, both of these cars down pit lane. Bill Daniels. Here comes John Sanu, a teammate to Floyd and Cook. Philip Brewer also in for service. Looks like everyone down at the same time. Daniel's flirting with that grass there. Be careful not to go too far out there and get it. And I've seen a few cars overshoot there on the entry and flirt with that commitment cone as well.
Yeah, back when Cook and Floyd came in, you saw Floyd come in a little bit high, but had just enough steering left in the front end of that car to get it back underneath that cone and make it safely down the pit lane.
So this will give the lead over to Benjamin Richards. He's going to continue to stay out here. Richards was in about the 8th position. These pit stop cycles started out, and he will have about 8 seconds over Edward Fiedler. 56 continuing to lead laps, staying out an additional 3 laps compared to some of these guys. He's got to be close, though. I mean, the window is about 26 laps, 27 laps is about as much as you can push it. Very conservative here on pit road entry, though.
Also a very dangerous spot to come down on that apron mid-corner. But he handled it well and gets down pit road safely. I think we made it through all that without any incidents there.
Yes, we did. Looks like Morgan Cook's going to take over the lead. He's about 1.7 seconds ahead. Philip Brewer, as the 70 of Teresa Spiker is going to lose a lap here. There's Brewer in the edge of your frame here, going by, I believe that's the 05 of PJ Cox. Cox pulls down out of the way. I don't know if he did that intentionally or not.
Seemed a little late to be getting out of the way for Philip Brewer, but whatever works.
That's what 1.3 seconds looks like here. Philip Brewer with the a little bit slower down pit road, but faster in the pit stall. So I don't know if he was just more conservative with his entry compared to Cook, or maybe the exit. As the 44 goes by, Dakota Floyd is 4.7 seconds back from the lead. Was able to get 4 fresh tires, but not able to get this damage fixed. Still has problems on the right rear of this car.
I think it's going to take a caution for him to have a little bit more time to let the pit crew team come out there and bang on that right rear quarter.
He's trying to straighten it out
on the wall.
He's trying to straighten it out, I think.
I don't quite think it's going to have the same effect if he let the pit crew do it.
Morgan Cook, also the same, has a little right rear damage. So it seems like these guys have been leaning on that right rear a little bit more than we expected tonight.
Quite a bit of damage there on the back of the 51, actually.
That's identical to Floyd's. Floyd's just hides it better.
Yeah, I guess whenever you take white paint off the wall and put it on a white car, you're not likely to see it as much.
Bill Daniels is caught up to the 24 for the 3rd position. Philip Brewer within a second now of Morgan Cook. John Sanu has worked his way up to the 5th spot here. So great job on and off pit road. I'm sure John Sanu wishes that he had started a little bit further ahead, though. He probably has the race pace based off of his lap times to hang with this top 3.
He most certainly does have the race pace to be up there, so it's unfortunate circumstances with the qualifying for that car, but you get that. It's the Track Champion Series for a reason. You can't have a perfect race every single time.
For some of these guys, though, they are perfect in their outings. Jeff Wright came in here and won both races that he participated in, so he had a good stretch. Battle for the lead now, 1/10 of a second. Philip Brewer has caught Morgan Cook.
Looks like the damage on the back of the 51's really just creating a parachute effect for him. Slowed him down a lot, because I remember Philip Brewer being back by almost a second just a few laps ago.
right on board here with Morgan Cook. He is also conserving some of the tires, so that might be part of the factor. You see Brewer, he's going to peek to the inside in the entry of 3. Change for the lead, probably likely going to happen here. So this is a little bit of a warning flash for, you know, championship implications. If you have Floyd having problems, you got Cook having problems. It's like you said at the start of this race, Logan, that you predicted somebody new could get up here and get the victory. Right now, it's trending that direction.
You know, it's one of those things, you just got to go with your gut on a call like that. And I have a strong feeling that if Philip Brewer can keep up the pace that he's working with right now, we will definitely see him at least in the top 3.
We'll be back here with some of the cars that stayed out a little bit longer. Benjamin Richards cycles out to the 9th position after green flag pit stops, but he has the freshest tires on the racetrack. Only one other car, actually 2 other cars, but Anthony Edrington is 2 laps down. Then you have Renee Haas, but he is about, well, he's 1 lap down, and he's about an eternity here. So he's riding behind David Collins right now. And battle for the 4th position just in front of them. John Sanu looking to the outside of Dakota Floyd.
I don't know about you, Bradley, in that position there. I think I'm going to try to shoot for the middle lane. It's, you know, a little bit better air on the front of the car. Maybe be able to make it stick a little bit better, get closer to that right rear quarter of Dakota Floyd, but elected to stay behind you.
You got a lot of traffic in front of you here with lap down traffic being a factor. There's Teresa Spiker and PJ Cox just in front of Bill Daniels, and so there's not really a good place to put the nose right now. If you're Sanu, if you're Daniels, if you're Floyd, I would venture to say these guys are going to try to navigate this lap traffic one at a time here. Oh, contact between Daniels and Teresa Spiker sideways through the grass.
Green flag stays out.
Spiker got loose coming out of 4. But no caution there. The lead has stretched out to a full second here. And if you're Floyd, if you're Cook, you're probably wanting a yellow to get some of that damage fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. A yellow is going to be necessary. This track is too short and too fast to try to repair anything major like that.
Brewer into the wall, though. This might even the playing field. Doesn't look like he picked up anything from that, but if you're Morgan Cook, you've got that right rear. Dakota Floyd also. He's battling with John Sanu right now for 3rd. I think all this damage... Oh, very loose here for the 86. They almost both lost it there, and they continued to go side by side in the entry of 3.
It almost looked like Sanu saw Floyd coming up the track and trying to get under him. Just maybe a little bit of overcorrection there, but it worked out for him after all.
Able to hold on to the back end. 41 laps complete now for the Track Champion Series, race number 8. Philip Brewer has pulled out 1.5 seconds as he comes out of turn 4. Morgan Cook in 2nd, John Sanu, Dakota Floyd, and Bill Daniels. Your top 5. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coverage here. Green flag pit stops are round number 2. About to be coming up. You're watching the Track Champion Series live on V-Speed. We'll be right back.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live at Kansas Speedway, 46 laps about to be completed here. Philip Brewer, 2.5 seconds ahead of Morgan Cook. He's really stretched this thing out. 30 laps led now. Surprising that Philip Brewer is having such a stellar day. He's been pretty quiet for most of this season, but here tonight, he comes out in the Track Champion Series for the final 2 weeks and he's putting on a clinic right now. Damage for the 51, the 24, and we're commencing some green flag pit stops here. Dakota Floyd down for his second time today.
Be a dangerous position here. You know, you're going to have a lot of cars behind you with fresher tires, but, you know, Dakota Floyd's had some issues all night with the handling of this vehicle. Maybe he'll be able to get this straightened out before the end of the race.
Morgan Cook a little bit sideways there on his entry to pit road, but able to make it to pit road speed. Casey Ellis, though, looks like he might get a speeding penalty here.
I think he did just good enough to get under that pit speed limit, but man, that cone was screaming for its life.
It's happened a couple times here tonight where that cone's been almost a victim of circumstance. This changes the top three. Philip Brewer is coming down pit road now. We cycle through for our second round of green flag pit stops. It's been clean and green since the beginning of this race. 7 lead changes. Let's look at the weather. Track temp has stayed about the same, 70 degrees. Ambient air 68, so it's been pretty stagnant here. Of course, the sun's been down for about a half an hour before the session started. It's going to stay pretty much the same all the way through. Philip Brewer gets 4 tires, and here comes Bill Daniels now to pit road. And I've seen a lot of conservative entries here to the pits.
It is a tough pit entry to make, especially coming off of turn 4 and getting down below that apron mid-corner. It's probably safer to, you know, take it more conservative and make sure you can finish the race and not go sliding through the infield.
This will pass the torch back to Benjamin Richards for some more laps led. The 56 car stayed out about 3 laps longer than some of the guys that started the pit cycle last time. I venture to say that'll be the same here. Of course, Richards was back in the 9th position before this second cycle started, so will he make up a little bit of time? We'll be closer to the top 5 here. I know for every lap that you stay out, it's more ground that these guys in front of you that pit ahead of you are going to make on you. Now, it will equalize. If you're fast enough, you can chase them back down on those fresher tires, but right now for Richards, laps led, it's just kind of the name of the game. You get some bonus points, but Now you gotta weigh the pros and cons of staying out this long.
Yeah, the cons definitely outweigh the pros, especially when you're losing all that extra time that you could be making, but
It was a better entry there that time, though.
it was a much better entry for him.
So for Philip Brewer, on and off pit road, almost perfect that time. He'll take the lead back over here on lap 52. And so 18 laps left in this race. Morgan Cook just behind. That gap continues to grow here on the exit of the corner. So you just got to mitigate the mistakes here if you're Philip Brewer. Don't hit the wall. Don't damage this car. And pray that the race stays green. He's in a perfect situation here.
It all comes into question of when the 51 of Morgan Cook really just wants to put the hammer down and start closing this gap, if he can, with the damage on the back of that car.
Sideways here for the 11 of Epker. Almost lost control there on the exit. I believe he went to the inside, or maybe was trying to get around the 32.
Seems like he was just a little too early on the throttle, a little too hard.
He's going to hold on to it for another lap, but this track has changed. I think it's rubbering up here on the high line enough now that the exit of turn 4, a little bit treacherous.
So, counter there for the 44 Philip Brewer if you saw that.
Yeah, I think everybody's having that there on the exits here tonight. It looks like we're right on board here with Cook, but yeah, there's a lot of wheel play just to keep this thing stable.
That's one of the things that makes Kansas so much fun to drive.
Johnson has worked his way up to third here. The top 3 day for the 86. Like I said, he has the speed. In fact, he's still the fastest car on the racetrack. I think if he started, again, I'll double down on it. If he started in the top 5, he'd probably be having a better day. But, starting back there in the 8th position to start the night out, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with in the first 10 laps or so. And you find yourself just trying to pass 1 or 2 cars. You lose a couple seconds. And that kind of multiplied as the race went on. He's 6.3 seconds from the leaders. We only have 7 cars left on the lead lap here.
44 Philip Brewer has just been cooking ever since he got in the lead of this race. Consistently a second ahead of the 51 of Morgan Cook. And of course, just always, well, not always, but a decent gap between the second and third place positions.
12.5 laps to go. Philip Brewer lost a little bit of ground there momentarily. I think it was navigating the lap car of John Hudson that was creating that situation. But since he cleared the 3 car, he's since kind of pulled away back to that 1.5 mark. Morgan Cook now going to try to advance his way around the 3. And he will do so. That leaves John Sanu next here as he goes around Benjamin Richards. Richards racing to get his lap back here. There's a long way to go. That we're talking about 6 seconds up to that front spot. Even with fresher tires, Richards here on the outside of your 3rd place driver, John Sanu. Falls back in line. About 4 lap difference on tires between the 86 and the 56. Looking back here with a quiet day here for the 707 of David Collins, but a top 10 day at that. Find him about 18 seconds back from Benjamin Richards. This field is spread out. I mean, if we go on a blimp static camera, they're racing all four corners of this racetrack. It's spread with, you know, only 16 cars left on the track. PJ Cox and Wade Palmer early exit to the day, but it looks like we have 100 cars out here because they're on all four corners of this racetrack right now.
Yeah, it's not too often that you see a situation like that, but again, with Kansas being 1.5 miles and such a fast track with such a variety in the skill levels of everybody racing, it's quite interesting to see it set up like this, to say the least.
So with under 10 to go, Brewer just hoping that it stays green and that nobody has a chance on a green-white checker to maybe come up here and steal this win away. He's walked out a full 2 seconds plus over Morgan Cook. John Sanu is catching up to the 51. But I don't think he's going to have enough time. It's about 4 seconds separating those two cars. Last time by 0.3 of a second faster. I don't think he has enough time.
All it takes is one mistake by the 51 of Morgan Cook. But again, going back to an earlier conversation, Cook is a very consistent driver, so it is going to be tough for John Sanu to make that ground up before the end of this race with only 7 laps to go.
Hey, you can see the ground there just through 3. And they come by for 7 laps to go. Looking for a battle anywhere on this racetrack. Casey Ellis, Bill Daniels for the 5th spot. Ellis got by. Daniels losing some ground to the 35. A little bit of damage on both those cars. Daniels with a little kink right there in the center of the Camaro logo, as you can see there. That's probably, it's probably helping him to be behind the 35, to be honest, keeping the air off that nose.
Yeah, we almost have to think there's no chance that he will be looking to make a move until that last lap or two. That way he can keep that air off the front of his car for as long as possible.
So the last car on the lead lap right now, Logan, is Greg Pillar in 7th. But Phillip Brewer not far behind him here as we come to 5 to go. Brewer in another time zone, 3.2 seconds, and continuing to grow. It looks like we're going to have another first-time winner here in the Track Champion Series.
Oh, you can't say that too early, Bradley.
As long as everybody holds it together here for these next 5 laps, I think he's good to go. I don't foresee anything bad happening to him unless a lap down car, you know, that's the only factor he has to deal with right now.
You're absolutely right, but time and time again, we've both been witness to the broadcaster's curse, so be careful what you say.
I'm going for TV ratings. Just trying to keep it exciting. I mean, 3.5 seconds, it's hard to build any kind of anticipation for that. Of course, Cook, you know, it's pitted a lap earlier, very, very loose off of turn 4 that time. And these guys are going about, I'd say, a quarter throttle through the exits of the corner. Is this thing stepping out so much? Listen on board here. Three laps to go. I don't know that any fuel saving's going on here. I'd like to think probably not, but
It's hard saying, but I would have to agree. I believe that last pit stop that these leaders had, you know, it was just enough to get them to the end with a little bit of extra. So absolutely no point in my mind to let up at all.
here we go. White flag is about to be in the air for Phillip Brewer, and this race will be official one more time around Kansas Speedway. There it is. Crosses the line. He's going to catch up to the 32. I don't think he's going to push the issue here with Greg Pillar. He's just going to float the throttle and calmly bring it home. For Philip Brewer, a rough start to the season, but down the backstretch, he has no one around him. Out of 3 and 4 for the final time in race number 8 of the series. Track champion at Kansas. Philip Brewer is going to get week number 8. Almost a full 4 seconds there to finish out the race. 3.963 was the difference back there to Morgan Cook. And 51 laps led after starting back in 6th position. John Sanu with the top 3. Your pole sitter, Dakota Floyd, falls back to 4th.
You know, I don't want to take too much credit, but, you know, whenever I made that comment earlier about a different driver taking a win here tonight, I was looking at the 44 whenever I said that.
So Morgan Cook able to extend his points lead here tonight, but not by much. Only 2 positions ahead, and with Dakota Floyd getting that pole. Cook, of course, able to get a lap led, so that does mitigate the bonus point that Floyd had for that. But overall, Philip Brewer, the car to beat here tonight. Post-race interviews with your top 3. You're watching the Track Champion Series live on V-Speed. Final results right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Back here live, week number 8 has concluded. The Track Champion Series with the 70 laps, clean and green all the way through this event. Philip Brewer is victorious with 10 lead changes. I mean, I couldn't have predicted who was going to win, but look at Thrill Count kind of called it out there with the change for those points. Morgan Cook able to extend his points lead slightly here over John Sanu, Dakota Floyd, and a few others after getting 2nd position. Bill Daniels is going to get 5th. Casey Ellis at 6th spot. 7th, Greg Pillar. Benjamin Richards turns it around. 1 lap down, though. He'll finish in 8th. Jared Epkert and David Collins, a top 10 day for the 707.
Bringing up the back half of the field, we've got John Hudson in the 3, taking home the 11th spot. Greg Spiker in the 12th. Teresa Spiker in 13th. Renee Hasp takes home 14th. Anthony Edrington in the 022 takes home 15th. Edward Fiedler in the 16th position, PJ Cox in 17th, Wade Palmer 18th, Tony Richards in 19th, and Warren Cook in the 20th position.
So early exit there for PJ Cox and Wade Palmer, both exiting this race early, 20 and 30 laps down. Tony Richards, our track admin here tonight, went out there and ran a lap. Warren Cook elected not to grid here tonight. He will round out that field, but yeah, it was eventful up there in that top 5. We saw everyone there in that top 5 positions, with the exception of John Sanu, challenged for the lead at some point in this race. And so, yeah, I couldn't have predicted who was going to have the speed here at the very end. But like I said before, Philip Brewer and John Sanu, they were matching lap times, and I really believe that had this 86 car started up a little bit further into the field, in fact, we're going to catch up with him right now. I got to say, John, if you had started maybe in the 4th or 5th position, you might have been fighting for a win tonight, because you were faster than everyone in the top 5 tonight.
Yeah, I apparently have to work on my qualifying a little bit better. Yeah, I had a good car. I was able to figure out the bottom, and I don't think a lot of people did, so I think that was a bit of an advantage as well. But yeah, I had a good car. Just needed more laps. Once I realized how I could pace it well. Yeah, it's I can't complain. Podium finish, though, up against the talent we have in here, I can't complain too much. But yeah, I agree. Uh, I think if I had had better qualifier, I would have had a serious shot at it.
Well, those last couple laps there, you were 0.3 faster than Philip Brewer, about half a second faster than Morgan Cook. And so we were starting to debate if you were going to be able to reel Morgan in time. You had shaved down probably a good 3 or 4 seconds on him from where the green flag pit stops had cycled out. But do you feel like the race going green, maybe that was, part of the factor that made you so fast, or were you just naturally going to be up there?
You know what? That's a good question. I noticed when we were running practice, I didn't see a huge fall off in times. In fact, when I came off on that last run, I was still 90%, 85% right front, right rear. Times to me didn't seem to change too much, maybe a second, but yeah, I don't know. I would have rather. I like this strung out. In fact, I didn't realize I was that much faster. The last half of the run, once I got in front of Dakota, I was like, let's just bring it home. I didn't want to press it too much, which probably helped me keep that speed. But no, I like the long green flag runs, and let it be what it be, and whoever can figure out how to run it and save it best finishes out. You get restarts, it gets kind of ugly and matted, and that's not as much fun, because now you're on defense mode as much as offense. So uh, yeah, I like the fact it was green flag run. It's this car was a handful. I don't know if you got a chance to turn some laps in it, but she was a handful, and she took
Looked
a
like
lot of
it.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
riding on board with everybody tonight. It looked like it was a handful from the start.
yeah, it was snappy loose. I couldn't get over 50% throttle through the center of the corner and just start ramping up a little bit. You couldn't get on it till the wheel was straight. It was a hard car, but to me, that's kind of fun. I like the technical cars where you really have to work. To me, that's more fun than just solid, just on the gas all the time and it just turns. You had to earn this one. These guys in front of me, they earned it. Like I said, because I thought I was doing decent and handling it, and they were still. I was gapping them, but they built that gap. They earned it. So, Bubba and Morgan, they ran a good race. So yeah, I would have liked to have a shot at them. If I would started faster, I think I'd be up there. But I can't complain. She was a handful through the whole thing. I'm ready for a cocktail, man. I'm spent.
Well, John, before you go grab that, anybody you'd like to shout out while we have you in the booth?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, my sponsor is Luke Transport. I run on the hood. Luke Oil. I think I have another round pizza on the side. They've been with me forever. And then, of course, the guys I'm running with in this group, I'm with 16 to 1, but they've let me run with them. They're down in there in the other rooms. Morgan and Dakota. Justin's still healing, so he wanted to come out tonight, but his shoulder was hurting him too bad. So good thing, because this would have killed his shoulder. This is a hard car. So Justin's usually in here. Kyle. I think those guys are fun to run with, hang out with in the room and run. And then you, of course, for you and you guys that broadcast it, you guys do an amazing job. And and all the people involved with putting this whole league together. It's really cool. I'd mentioned that before when you interrupted. Really cool concept. Really cool idea. I look forward to seeing if they do this again with different cars or different tracks. It's a really cool format. I'm really enjoying it.
Johnson, new third place here tonight. We thank you for your time, buddy, and we look forward to seeing you in week number 9.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That brings us to our second place finisher. Logan Threlkeld has caught up with, I believe you know the introduction.
Yeah, we're going to catch up here with our second place finisher. That'll be Morgan Cook, our V-Speed golden child. Morgan, you got a copy?
Yeah, I hear ya.
Hey, man. So, started second, finished second, 9 laps led. So you got some points. You know, you're looking to obviously finish ahead of Dakota Floyd. You completed that goal. You know, with him having the pole. I believe you're going to come out maybe a point or two ahead of him out of this race, but
4 points.
4 points. So, you know, you're setting yourself up good for next week. Obviously, once again at Kansas, but run me down, man. What happened here? It looked like once you got a little bit of damage there on that right rear, it just kind of created a parachute on the back of your car at some points.
Yeah, this thing was beyond frustrating to drive after lap 25. That first run, started second. Obviously, Dakota slid in front of me. He had a good initial start, which was the only restart of the day. Shout out to everyone in the league for keeping it clean and green. Was just hanging behind Dakota, and we're gapping the field by two tenths, 3 tenths a lap. And I was happy on the top side. I was going to run there the whole race, which I pretty much did. And he got really loose on the bottom and just slid up in front of me. And I thought that's where the damage came from. So I was like, okay, I gotta kind of, it's right front damage, whatever, because I hurt the back of his car. Like I saw it immediately, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be trouble for him. But got around him. Philip got around us, and I just chased Philip down that whole first run and was right on his back bumper the whole time. And I passed him. It did the slide job. Same thing did Aguiar. I should learn by now that I can't do that, but it worked out sort of this time. And again, I didn't realize I had right rear damage. And then the next 2 runs, the thing was awful. Like the worst car I've ever driven. It was sideways all the time. Couldn't put the power down. And I watched the 44 drive away off every corner exit, and I'm like, what is going on? Um, and yeah, just had basically was surviving the last 2/3 of this race, just trying not to hit the wall, which I did once. Yeah, frustrating run tonight.
Well, I can promise you, it wasn't just you out there. It was having issues with the handling of this thing. You know, John Snood just mentioned the same exact thing. This car was something else here tonight, and the weather and track configuration just it didn't seem to match up with how it looks. You know, during the broadcast. But one of the things that we hit on a lot with you specifically was your consistency, and you stayed consistent enough to keep yourself up here in the second position, obviously, with the hopes of chasing down Philip Brewer. We saw you get really close quite a few times, and it's just one of those things that just the minimal damage that you can have there, it can really slow you down. And obviously, that happened here tonight, but going into next week, still in the points lead. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I'm not sure. This one will take it'll take a good night's sleep to wear this one off. I'm a little frustrated just with how that played out. I feel like I probably, without the damage, I don't know if I win the race, but I definitely give Philip a good run for his money. And I wasn't able to do that tonight. Left at least 1 point on the table, I feel like. And when the gap is, less than the fingers on your hand, you need every point you can get. But looking at the next week, I did extend the points lead a little bit. I don't know if bonus points are counting right now in the iRacing here, so I'll have to check on that. But yeah, I'm a little nervous with Dakota. He can win any given Friday. He did last week, and I need to beat a driver I historically have trouble beating. So this is going to be an interesting ride to the finish here.
Well, nevertheless, you guys put on a great show tonight. Like you mentioned, 70 laps, clean green flag racing. Morgan, before you depart from us, anybody you'd like to say thanks to?
Yeah, I got to thank VRX for doing this again. This league has been a lot of fun to be a part of. This track championship, it's a really cool idea, and it's been really well done. I have enjoyed almost every minute of it. I didn't love this race, just the way my handling was, but the rest of them were so much fun to do. Great group of people here, all the admins that are part of this, race control, It's been really good. Got to thank the teammates just for hanging out in the chat. That's been fun as well, and obviously you two up here in the booth, V Speed, everything that you guys do for me, both on a personal and on a iRacing sort of level. It's a great group of people we have here, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Absolutely. And again, Morgan, good luck going into next week. We will catch you next Friday night, sir.
You bet. See you too.
That leaves us with one more, Bradley.
That would be our race winner, Philip Brewer. The surprise win here. I mean, you came out of nowhere, Philip. You've had some struggles here. You've had top 5 days, but you've also had days that just didn't go your way at all. Tonight was not one of those nights. You just come out and raced 51 laps. You led over 66% of this race. How does it feel to come out here and do what you did, dominate this race?
I mean, it feels pretty good. It's kind of surprising. I really did not expect to have this much speed. I mean, I do think if I didn't get into Morgan there a little bit, it definitely would have been a closer race there at the end.
So we saw a little bit of damage there on the back end of the 51. Is that where that came from?
Yeah, it was off 4. He was trying the slide job, and then he kind of told me he didn't think I'd still be there, and he came up, and I tried to lift, and it's just racing. I mean, that kind of stuff happens.
Well, especially with this car, it looked like it was ill handling all night long. A few moments there out of the exits of these corners, it looked like this thing, we could read all the sponsors on the side of the car.
Yeah, it was pretty freaking fun. I've never driven a car this loose and been this good at it. It's like entry was fine. It felt comfortable on entry, but as soon as you got center off and wanted to pick up any throttle, it just really started hanging out on you.
So setting up for the final week there in the Generation 6 Cup car, Philip, you're starting to string together some top 5s. What's in store for us for the final week?
I guess we'll see. I've never driven that car before. I started iRacing when the next gen came out, so it'll be an interesting race.
44 up here in the booth. First victory of the season. Anybody you want to shout out while we got you up here?
Just want to shout out VRX for putting these races on. It's been fun.
Thank you for your time, buddy, and we look forward to seeing you for the final week.
Yep, you too.
So there you have it. Philip Brewer, victorious. A man, a few words, but he said what he needed to say. This car was fun to drive. He enjoyed it. Didn't expect to have the speed, but I think Logan Threlkeld expected somebody to have it because the 51 and the 24, a little off the pace tonight. That will do it for tonight's coverage, though, of the Track Champions Series. We hope you enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race as we set up for the remaining part. One race to go. Schedule up on your screen, October 4th, next Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The night configuration one more time here for the Gen 6 Cup car. And that will crown our track champion for all 9 races here at Kansas Speedway. Well, for everybody here at V Speed that helped put on this show, Adam Baker in the background for all the things that he does, Logan Threlkeld for joining me up in the booth here tonight. I'd like to thank him, did a fantastic job, and we'll have you back next week. But for everybody else, VRX, and everyone that put this together, this is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great weekend. We'll see you at 8 p.m. tomorrow for Saturday Night Racing League and the Challenger Series.